Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about mental traps, how to identify them, and what we can do about them. This is actually some training that I got last year in Arizona at Ruby's on the Rise. And I like to go back through trainings and really like, okay, what did I miss? Am I looking at this differently this time? So there's 3 mental traps that I'm going to talk about tonight. And at the time, in Arizona, I felt like I was dealing with a certain one. And then I feel like these are all things that people can go through at any point in their business. And you may be dealing with more than one at a time. So these were super helpful, and like kind of almost like a gut punch when we were there. So I'm just gonna kind of get right into it. So when you identify and address your mental traps, you clear the path towards success. So this is some stuff that really helped me see like maybe where I'm struggling or getting caught up in my own mind. So the objectives are to identify mental traps that can sabotage the growth of our business, address how mental traps show up in our business and in our lives, and to develop methods to challenge and overcome those mental traps. So there are 3 types of traps that we're going to talk about tonight: perfectionism, burnout, and being me focused. And for each one, I'm going to share what the illusion of that mental trap is, what the reality actually is, the antidote, and what that result would bring. And then each little slide has a quote on it as well that I thought was kind of helpful. So this one is, "You are far too smart to be the only thing standing in your way," which is very true. Okay, so the first one is perfectionism, right? So perfectionism is, if you've ever had the thought of, I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. And this is one that I feel like I could train on this all day long because I am a perfectionist and I have had to get over it and get over myself and get out of my own way because it doesn't matter. Like it's never going to be perfect. So the illusion of perfectionism is disguised as a commitment to excellence. And even now, a year later, I see this and I'm like, oh, I definitely have moments of that, right? When the reality of that is the unhealthy pursuit of unattainable flawlessness. It is never going to be perfect in anything, right? Like parenting, our marriage, our business, our kids, like all of the things. Nothing is ever going to be perfect at all. So the antidote would be to go progress, right? Little steps, lean into the scary things and just do them. Okay. One of the things that they told us at this training was ready, fire, aim, which is off a little bit than what most people are used to, where you say ready, aim, fire. When you think of ready, fire, aim, that's more like get ready, shoot your shot, figure out how it went, and then readjust your aim, readjust your focus, figure out like, okay, I did this, kind of worked, learn from that. I'm going to shift my aim a little bit and do it again. And then rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So you're shooting your shot, you fire, and then you adjust your aim and change your action. And the result of that is going to help build more confidence. One of the things that, like a couple of signs of being a perfectionist might be that you are hypercritical of yourself. You have unrealistic expectations. You have a fear of failure. You are focused only on the results. You procrastinate, and you have an all or nothing approach. So, and then this quote right here, this one, when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard that. And still to this day, it is something where I'm like, ooh, perfectionism is self-abuse of the highest order. And I think that is very true. So now this one is burnout is the second mental trap. And then I have some notes that I can give you after the call and everything too for these. So burnout, if you've ever found yourself saying, I need to be the one to do it or it won't be done right. Right? So the illusion of burnout is that it is disguised as a strong work ethic. when in reality, it is trying to do and be all of the things, right? We can't be all of the things, but we like to think we can. We like to think we can, but we can't. So the antidote for that would be to prioritize and delegate, right? Learn what is urgent versus what is important. And one of the quotes that is not on here, but they said it at this training and it stuck with me since then. And I have used it when talking to myself mentally, when talking to my team. And that is that there are no emergencies in network marketing. There are no emergencies in network marketing. There's nothing that is like dire, have to fix this absolutely right now. There are no emergencies in network marketing. So the result of prioritizing and delegating is bringing balance. And I will say, like, I struggled with this for a little bit because I didn't have a team for quite some time. I didn't have people coming to calls. I didn't have people in a chat with me. I didn't have people brainstorming with me. So I really felt like I was doing all the things. And then when people started to come along, I still was doing all the things because I was stuck in such a do all of the things burnout type of mode that I really had to step back and be like, you know what? I like to do things a certain way, but that doesn't mean it is the only way. That doesn't mean it's the only way. And if somebody presents a call or does a messenger chat differently than I would do it, that's okay. That's fine. Like, more power that I didn't have to do it, you know? Like, I have no problem with delegating and letting other people do things, even if they do them differently than I would do them, because I think there are so many personalities in what we do that however somebody does something, it's going to be the right thing for the right person. So even if it's not necessarily how I would do it, if it is not urgent to me, then I can delegate it to somebody else, right? And the result of that, I can speak from experience, has literally been balance, like balance, and knowing I don't have to do all of the things, which is a really good feeling. So the quote for this one was, you can do anything, but not everything. And some of the signs of being in burnout are exhaustion, isolation, irritability, a low mood, a lack of interest, and reduced performance. So burnout is what happens when you try to avoid being human for too long, when you just think you can keep going and do all of the things. And burnout is not a fun place to be. It is not. Okay, so the third mental trap is being me focused. And if you've ever said, this is the way that I want my team to do things, you might need to step back and see if you are being me focused. The illusion of this would be is disguised as being driven and success focused, when in reality, you can be seen as self-centered and uncaring for your team. The antidote would be to focus on working with others and adding value. And the result would be to grow in relationships, which I think also this goes back to the whole thing with what we do here is this is a volunteer army. Like, nobody has to be here. I am no one's boss. Like, I don't tell people what to do or how to do things. That's not my job to do that, right? I like to do things a certain way, but again, it doesn't have to be that way for everybody. I can coach and guide and lead and train, but if that doesn't sit right with somebody and they want to do something differently, like, that's okay too. If they have found something that works for them, do it. Do it and tell me, why does it work? Why do you like it? What kind of results are you seeing, right? Building relationships with your team is going to be huge, huge. And you do such a good job, Jen. I have to say, you do a really great job at that. And I envy the way you do it. And I don't do it that way. And I'm looking at you like, I need to start doing what she's doing. Getting on the phone with everybody. So this one, some signs of being me focused is that you could prioritize your results or wants over others. You set the rules and you are inflexible You don't ask others about themselves. You interrupt others, hide your insecurities and vulnerabilities, and you expect others to be available for you. So this is one that I feel like this one's harder for me to train on, I guess you could say, because I don't feel like I'm me focused. I always want to see how I can help others. I always want to see what other people are doing. I always want to know what others are doing that are working, why it's working, get feedback. And I've always had the mentality of there's room for everyone at the top. If she can do it, I can do it. What did she do that worked so well? Like, what can I learn from her? So this one was a little bit harder for me to kind of like train on, I guess you could say, because I don't consider myself to be me focused. And this was the quote for this one is true leadership must be for the benefit of followers, not to enrich the leader. And that's by John Maxwell. Maybe because at the point of getting to this, I've read enough of his books that I know it's about the team. It's not about me. It's about the team and helping other people find what works for them. So let's see so the summary, this is a quick one, super quick. So identify one mental trap to work on, and then answer the corresponding questions to reflect and rise up, which I have the questions. So you can tell me which one you would think you'd want to work on, or you can do one at a time if you want to do all of them. But the antidote to perfectionism is progress, which will build confidence. The antidote to burnout is prioritizing and delegation, which builds balance. And the antidote to being me focused is servant leadership, which builds relationships. And I will say that I personally have worked through perfectionism and burnout probably a few times each. So I can definitely help you with those, but I do have some questions that kind of go along with those. So if you wanted to pick one of them and go through them together, I can send them to you. Let me stop here.